Welcome to Jennifer with Coffee, a mindset podcast for people who are looking for real change. I'm Jennifer Lauer, writer, yogi, and fitness fanatic. Lately, I've been having lots of coffee meetups, long, honest conversations that delve into mindset, identity, choices, and habits that shape our lives. I kept thinking how I wanted to share these conversations, so here we are. Each episode moves in 3 beats: an inspirational story, an interview with thinkers, builders, athletes, and artists, people who want to share their own transformations. And we'll end with a brief meditation to practice calming the nervous system. Okay, before our interview, I have a little inspo story. I notice these little things all of the time that just kind of blow my mind. And one of them was I was talking to a doctor after having a medical procedure. And one little line that he said was something I'd never been told by a doctor before. And I found it so moving. He said, "It was an honor to take care of you." I found that such a wonderful way to see your work. It was very inspiring and has me thinking about when I do my work, can I think of it as being an honor? It's an honor for me to talk to you today. And I hope that you can go about your work maybe and think about the line that my doctor said to me, which was, "It was an honor to take care of you." And now for our interview. Emily Klein is a writer and human design and gene keys expert. As a ghostwriter, Emily once lived in the shadows of other people's stories. And while she loved the work, over time she realized something was missing, a deeper connection to her own voice and purpose. Through her studies with human design and gene keys, Emily discovered a more expansive way to share her gifts. She has since started writing her own books and now helps other authors use their human design to create writing rhythms, book ideas, and selling strategies that fit their own unique creative wiring. The stories you tell are unlike anyone else's. Your process should be too. Let's have coffee with Emily Klein. Welcome to Jennifer with Coffee. Today we have Emily. Emily, I'm so glad to have you here. Can you tell me a little bit about what brought you to the work that you do now?
Yeah, right now I'm primarily writing. I also do human design and gene keys kind of readings or help people apply those frameworks to their lives. How I got there or how I got here is kind of interesting. I was a big reader as a kid, and I eventually just started writing my own stories and writing my own poetry when I couldn't sleep at night. But I never thought I'd do anything with it. And then I had, well, 16 years ago now, I had my first daughter who has a lot of medical issues. And I started writing again as a way to kind of just make meaning and process the experience that no one around me had had. And that kind of snowballed into I started publishing in some small lit journals, and then I started writing for a local website, and I did copywriting. I kind of jumped around and did all this different kinds of writing from there. And I eventually ended up ghostwriting. I got an agent who was ghostwriting. One of my ghostwriting clients introduced me to human design.
Oh.
So it just kind of all snowballs. I mean, if someone really resonated and the project was felt really right, I would still ghostwrite. But right now I'm really focused on writing my own words. And then also I just think human design and gene keys, if it's something that resonates with you, it's helped me so much. And so if it resonates with someone and they feel like it helped them, I'm very happy to introduce them to it.
Awesome. That's so interesting that your writing is what brought you to the human design, and then the human design helps you with the writing. So it's kind of
Yeah,
like,
yeah, it definitely goes back and forth. And human design, the way that some people are very black and white, this is what it says. And it's kind of becomes these rules for them. And that's fine for their experience. I experience it very differently, where it's very interpretive. And so there is there in my brain, there's a lot of crossover with, I see someone's chart as themes like I would in a book, so like there is a lot of crossover for me in the way that I experience both of these areas.
That's really cool. So, in this podcast, we're particularly compelled by that journey that someone goes through between the one version of themselves to another. I would love to hear about a time maybe that you manifested a transformation in your life.
I love manifesty stuff so much.
Same.
Yeah, I'm just always open to how we can be more of ourselves and kind of live that experience that we know exists somewhere. I have different levels for like I play with manifesting. So on a really small, low stakes, no stakes manifesty, like I manifest parking spots all the time. And it's just like a game and like it's not like I'm not 100%, but some like when it happens, it's like I'm so excited because but it is the same process of just kind of saying like, I know this spot is there and just like disconnecting from it. So it is just like for me, it's like flexing that muscle, but again, there's no stakes to it. And if I have to walk to where I'm going, it's fine.
So that's interesting. You think for manifesting that you think of the thing that you want and then you let it go right away.
And then I let it go. And that's something that when I think about it, that's the glue between all of my manifesting experiences. And I think that's really hard for people. And honestly, if it's something that has more stakes to it, like it's hard for me. It's not like I'm like, oh, just I never think about it again. Like I do think about things, but I think that helps. There was another time in my 20s where even back then I was like into manifesty stuff, but I wouldn't have like thought of it this way. I was working at like a small boutique creative firm and I was happy with that work. I decided though that I wanted to get into coaching. And this was when coaching, like no one knew what coaching was. And so when I would say to someone, they'd be like, they would like respond and be like a soccer coach or like they
Right.
just, it was like before coaching is what it is today. I like researched and I found a program where I could get certified. It was intensive. It was like many months. There was a time commitment. I learned a lot of frameworks and structures and a mindset of what I believe a coach is. Like I don't tell people what to do. Some people want that and that's great. So I learned a lot from it, but that certification was going to cost some money. And I'm like young, living in the city. All my money is going towards rent, like everyone
Yeah.
else. And I didn't know how I was going to do it. It was like an off the cuff where I was just like, I don't know how this is going to happen, but the money is going to show up, which sounds like really irresponsible. And I'm like really not irresponsible with money, just kind of like a knowing. I don't even know how to explain it. I signed up
Okay.
before I knew that the money was going to, I just think it's going to work out. Now, I wasn't like putting myself in a dangerous situation. If the money really didn't show up, I wouldn't have done it. I was just like, I'm moving forward and this is going to work out. I had a friend who was older than me. So her peer group was like, they were like the heads of departments where I'm like kind of entry level.
Okay.
She calls me one day and she's like, I have a friend who works for like a very large company and she's looking for someone to kind of like project manage. I had project management experience, but she's like, she's looking for like project management for like the team and maybe some like coaching for her. And I know you're like getting into that. And so I met with her friend and we clicked and I took the job and the job was with a much larger company and it was a big pay jump. I told her going in, like I'm taking the certification course. And so like I can't work late all the time. So I kind of went in with like this boundary and I was able to do the certification. She had no problem with me leaving to get training because it kind of helped her too, with the work we were doing. Like I didn't have to, like not eat dinner 3 nights a week. Like I was able to live and get what I needed. It was kind of like I just knew it would kind of work out and it did. And those types of things have happened more like, stuff with my daughter and her care and like there's just a lot of times where I'm just like, you know what, I just think this is going to work out. It does. It's really two things. And so there's the not controlling, which I think is that like disengagement of how you think this is going to happen because you really never know. Like, I would never have thought, oh, this friend is going to know someone who's looking. There's no way I could have peered around that corner. I didn't know that.
Do you have any advice for someone trying to disengage or let go of that control?
So, yeah, which brings me to the second thing, which I think is important, and I think they go together.
Okay.
The second part of it is we all have parts of our identity that we believe are fixed. I would never,
Dot, dot, dot. Yeah.
whatever, fill it in. We all have that. I have it. Everyone has it. Many of those fixed pieces of our reality are not actually fixed. We just believe that they are. Like in that one instance with the job, I was a young creative. I loved working at small boutique. Like, it was like had this image of what my job and like what my environment looked like, for work. I had to kind of be open to stepping into someone who works for a very large, very well-known company, the corporate offices. That was an identity shift that I had to be willing to take on to get this pay raise that I needed and to also be like doing work while I was training to do the work. Now, would there be a small boutique creative company that had all that? Sure, that exists in the world. This just literally fell in my lap. There was no friction to it. And when I heard about it, I was excited. And that's a big thing also. I wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna have to like do this thing. I was like, oh my God, this is such a cool like opportunity. And so it worked for me, but it only worked for me because I was willing to change something within me to match that reality I wanted to meet.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
What did you change, for example?
I had to change that concept of me that I'm this creative and I only work for these small boutique niche creative companies. And like, this is where I live in my work. I would never work for a huge
So
corporation.
you had to expand
I
your
had to
idea.
expand that idea of myself, that identity, to kind of allow new things, new possibilities to come in. Now, like with a parking spot, that doesn't work.
Right.
When you're looking at larger things, you do often have to kind of be open to being different, not necessarily doing different, but being different. And then when you're being different, the world around you kind of matches that. You're not going to answer the problem in that same mindset that created the problem.
Right. I actually think the identity piece is really key. Even in a parking spot situation, it's telling yourself things unfold easily for me, or I'm so lucky. Have you ever heard of that whole, if you tell
Yeah.
yourself I'm so lucky?
Yeah, that's totally right. Yes, that would play into the parking spot too. But I think that also helps with that disengagement of like, I have to do to make something happen. And then you're forcing it. And maybe you're forcing it in a way that's, you may get there, but you might not be happy when you get there by the time you get there that way. And there's just stuff that like we don't know. I wouldn't know that like this opportunity existed, but I had to be open enough. I'll look at these other opportunities. Like I'm willing to not think that it's only cool to work in this one type of place. I'm only able to do what I'm doing now because I literally had to change what I believed it meant to be a mother. You can only really work on you. So, and it doesn't mean that you work on you and then you like sit on the couch all day and do nothing. Like you still have to move forward and be in action. When you're not trying to control it or think this is exactly how it has to be, or I need to do these things in order for it to happen. I need to write it out 10 times. And maybe that works for you. Like I'm not, for me and my experience has always been who do I need to be? Not what do I need to do? Who do I need to be where this kind of experience will come through easily, effortlessly? What is that version of me? And then often, you got to let go of some stuff.
It's in the zeitgeist right now. I feel like in a lot of new age podcasts and clips of people saying exactly that, that you need to be the person that would have the life that you want to have, kind of thing. And I think sometimes it can feel, yeah, well, how do I know how that person is going to be? I think what you're saying is you just have to be open to a new, more expansive version of yourself. Can feel like a big leap, right? Like I'm here, I want to be maybe in this new place, and I know I need to feel the feelings of the person in that new place to be able to expand to that place. But how do I actually do that?
let's say you were like, and this is just like an example, for whatever reason, I want to run this, you're doing Uber physical race or whatever.
Yes,
Like, I don't
right.
know what it's called.
Yes. High
So we'll
rocks.
just say
Yes.
it's like some like triathlon or something.
Okay.
Something's calling you to like do this big triathlon
Hmm.
race. So you say, what does that person look, feel like, or whatever? I don't know how they feel because I'm not that person yet, but that person probably has running shoes. That person probably will carve out some time to train, like they're
Hmm.
going to have to,
Right.
and so like they don't hurt themselves. That person might do a little research on like how to fuel their bodies appropriately for that kind of training and that kind of race. When you start doing these like micro things, and that might not be like such a sexy example,
Hmm.
but you start doing these micro things and then new experiences kind of appear. But
Right.
maybe when you're buying your shoes, the person next to you is in a running club and you're like, then you can train with them. And like, you have to really just be open to these new experiences and kind of be in action around it.
Yeah.
So I'm a writer, but there's plenty of people who are like, I'd love to write a book, but I'm not a writer. You're going to have to somewhere see yourself as a writer.
Yeah.
You're going to have to somewhere do a little research on what a story is. It's not
Right.
just throwing up on the page. There's some
Sure.
stuff that has to be present. You're going to have to find some time to get some words on a page and go through that like agonizing first draft. Like there's stuff that you have to get in action around who that person is, but you're not going to do that unless you believe I am this person who does these types of things. I think it's hard to be like, oh, feel what it feels like to have $1 billion when you're like trying to pay your rent. That's really
Hmm.
hard.
Yes.
You're like in survival mode. You're not only asking like to feel this money, but you're asking them to feel from survival mode to like overabundance. That's a really big stretch. And probably that person's nervous system can't handle it because their nervous system is registered to survival mode.
True.
Part of it is doing the things that that person does, not
Hmm.
that they have to do, not that they grind through, that that person does because that's who they see themselves as. I see myself as an athlete, so I wake up and run in the morning, or I see myself as a writer, and so, I take a fiction 101 class because that's what a writer does. And I'm
Yeah.
excited about it and I'm interested in it. Like, so I want to do those things that that person does. Now, I just brought up this like nervous system regulation. That's also a big part of it. Like, I want this huge thing, $1 billion. You envision someone saying to you, here's a check for $1 billion, and you panic. That's going to be really hard to do because you're panicked. You're
Right.
panicked thinking about it. Part of this all is like also this nervous system regulation around what it is that you want. And
Yeah.
that's not bad that you panic. That's just like you don't experience it. You don't know what that other side is like. That could be nerve-wracking.
This is great practical advice for anybody looking to manifest something or to manifest like a new identity is you choose the identity, which is a desire that you have, which I think we only desire the things we're meant for. Even if we're meant for something and it's just a step on the way to that place, the ultimate place, like I don't necessarily think, like you're saying, like someone wants to write a book. Maybe that is a step on their journey to their full authentic self. That is the goal. That is something in their mind. So if you have that desire, that's an identity you want to, go find out. So that those are two great steps. Establish the identity and then some things that you would do as that identity. And then the third part, the nervous system regulation. What are some tactical things that you could do to expand your nervous system?
With guided visualization or just like your own visualization, I think it allows you to kind of self titrate, and kind of be like, I'm comfortable here. And you kind of have to give yourself grace. I think if you're talking about something like making money, which making money has a lot to do with receiving.
Yeah.
Hey, I
Mm-hmm.
have trouble with receiving. Like
Mm-hmm.
this is kind of like a universal human thing. The next time someone gives you a compliment,
Mm-hmm.
receive it.
Yeah.
Wow, thank you for saying that. That really landed with me. I appreciate it. We are so quick to be like, no, 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 that's not
Mm-hmm.
true. Or let me really fast give you one. So now we're even. Like, it's
Yes.
just like we do these weird, they're not weird. We just do these dances that like we learn somewhere, receive it. Whatever it is that could be small that you don't think is directly related. Someone else like cleans the dinner table. Thanks, I appreciate you doing that. I was tired today. Like, I
Yeah.
take it. Like, it's okay. Be in that mindset of being, and that helps to regulate. I'm okay receiving, like, nothing bad has happened. People still like me. I'm still
Right.
tied to my social group. Like all of these things that we get nervous about, that all helps with that identity of I'm someone who can hold $1 billion.
Mm-hmm.
I'm someone who can receive.
Yes.
All of these things. I read somewhere, this isn't mine. I don't know where I read it. I'm sorry, I can't quote you. When you're looking at into the world, like where in nature of how much abundance there is. Like, so if you're like, oh, we'll stick with the money because a lot of people have that. I'm looking out at my backyard and there's trees. And so right now it's winter, but like typically there's so many green leaves. And I'm like, oh, there's so much green. There's so much
Mm-hmm.
beauty. There's so much grass out there. Like, be aware of the abundance.
Yeah, that's a
See,
good
this
one.
is also like identity shifting because now you're aware of there is abundance in the world. I may be feeling scarcity right now in this moment, but there is abundance in the world. And you start being aware that, like, maybe I could participate in that side.
Right.
And these things happen when you start kind of letting that go of like, this is who I am, and this is the life that, like, this is the lot in life that I've been assigned. Some of that needs to be flexible.
I think this is a really good time to talk about when these thoughts come up and talk about obstacles. And one of the ways that I think people can get to where they want to go is not just imagining what it would be like to get where they are, also imagining what obstacles will come up and how they're going to navigate when that obstacle comes up. So, do you have something that you look back and say, that came up, I wish I had navigated it differently, or that held me up longer than it should have, etc.?
Yes. And I'm going to incorporate Gene Keys because this was important in my story. In Gene Keys, which is kind of a sister system to human design, there's an area of the chart where it's your core wound. And core wound is really, we all come to life with one. We all have many wounds. This
Right.
is one. Like, we all have so many. It's like that theme that just keeps coming back. Like, it's just like, oh, I thought I handled that. And it's like back again. That's like a core wound of yours. In your chart, there's going to be something that kind of points you to the theme. But your core wounds, the beautiful part of this system is that in this one area, your core wound transitions into your vocation, which to
Mm,
me is such a beautiful place.
yeah.
For me, in my chart, that core wound it's a theme around overgiving, which a lot of people
Oh.
experience, even if it's not your core wound. So many people have this experience. It's a theme around giving, giving, giving to exhaustion.
Hmm.
Giving until, in my experience, it was like I gave and gave and gave until I was no longer there. This had to do with I've had this wound forever, but it really came present with my daughter, and I was her caregiver for 13 years. And so, she required 24-hour care. There was a lot going on all the time. I gave and gave and gave until I broke. That was the trajectory of that theme. I had a choice to make. Am I gonna like do this differently? Or am I gonna die? Like, I can't physically, like, you can't go 24 hours a day for a decade.
Right.
The other side of that is a theme around, like, the other side of that overgiving is resolve. It's really understanding what it means to you to give without giving yourself away. There's a line between sacrifice and self-erasure.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of moms, a lot of people, but I think moms, that line gets fuzzy.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so devoted to my children, but in the process, I'm like erasing myself,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
And you kind of vanish into this mother role. And so I really had to sit with, well, what does it mean to give to her and also just to give without sacrificing myself? How can I still be present and present in a large way, like have an identity that really expands to my full potential and still give? Like, what
Mm-hmm.
do those things mean?
Yeah.
Like, well, if I don't do it, who will? How many moms say that?
Yeah. Right.
Right? Like that's
Yeah.
like a running background. If I don't do this, then I'm a bad mom, or like I'm a bad person, or like if I don't do this, like, will she still know I love her? That has then, like, that place of what am I going to do with this from that core wound theme of overgiving, that has now become what I'm contributing to the world. So
Yeah.
people who resonate with me and who come to me for Gene Keys or human design are often in that little circle of I've given to the point where I don't even know what makes me happy anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who I am anymore. I'm burnt out. I'm stuck. And that's kind of something that I help people. I don't tell them what to do again, but I kind of help them navigate that moment in their life so that then they can begin their next chapter.
Yeah.
Like there is a next chapter after it, connected to my writing. That is literally what the memoir is. It's what happens to a mother who gives until there's nothing left. And then how does she come back?
Yeah. I think you telling your story, especially in this memoir, is going to be so powerful because so many women have that experience. And then you're not just going to tell your story about how it all went down, but then how you pulled yourself out and how you created this next version of yourself, which is exactly like that transformation. I think it's so important. And what I aim to do with this podcast and just in general is to see examples of people living and then reflecting on it. Because for me, that's one of the main ways I learn by watching other people and what they go through, even if their experience is completely different than mine. The feelings can be the same. The feeling of losing yourself and then finding yourself and then sharing yourself. It's a story arc.
Yeah. And it really is, though. And that is what story is. Like without transformation, without there was this and now there's that, it's not really a story.
Right.
It's like
Yeah.
a few events happening. Like
Right.
that is the transformation is the story. Story is like a universal language.
I agree. Yeah.
Story helps us make meaning of things that are hard, and it is how we connect. So exactly what you're saying, my story is unique because of the circumstances. It really is in a way that invites a reader in and say, let's explore this together and kind of figure out like why we get to this point and then what we do after that point. Like the story doesn't end with, and then it sucked.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
it's like, and then there was more,
Right. And
and
then it
then there was
changed and
more,
I
and then it
changed.
changed.
I grew. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I was only able to do that. And like, I had to kind of get to that collapse, to kind of see it where my body was like, hey, your mind isn't catching on to this, but like, this doesn't work. Like,
Right.
just so you know, this doesn't work. And we're going to have to deal with your mind separately. That's the way that it played out for me. Once my mind got on board, there really was kind of a reckoning with identity. These really big questions that I think many moms, but many people in general just have. What does it mean to be a good person? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I thought I was just being a good person.
Right.
But in the process, I was like killing myself. And so that's not really being a good person.
Right.
Another thing off of like the Gene Keys was a lot of that like that overgiving for me personally comes from this thought of if I'm valuable to you, I'm valuable.
Mm.
It's very externally focused. So I'm
Hmm.
going to give and give and give, or I'm going to like make myself small, small, small. You feel comfortable.
Hmm.
If you're comfortable and you feel like I have value, then we're cool. Then I'm cool. And that's really off. A lot of that comes from my, like, I could sense that, but like when I saw it on my chart and I kind of got language around it, I was like, oh, yes, that's the language. Like, that is what's happening. That's part of the identity that needed kind of shifting. And I still like, this isn't something that I'm like, oh, I went through this and now I'm like done. Like, it's
Right.
like I will be doing this forever because this is just like the theme, but I'll be more aware of it, which will make the experience different. I was able to be like, well, if I don't do all of this, like if I'm not running myself into the ground, I still have value just because I'm inherently have value.
Right.
And I don't need to prove that value by hurting myself.
Right. The key note about human design and gene keys and how they can help you in your life, it's giving you that language around your strengths, maybe your blind spots, your wounds. And I think that that's what can actually be really, really helpful. It doesn't necessarily give you an instruction on how to live your life, it just gives you new language to think about your life. If somebody was interested in getting their human design chart done or gene keys, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
Go to my Instagram, which is Klein Writes, EMKLEIN Writes. I'm in drafting mode, so presently I'm not posting stuff, but I will go back. It's not human design focused, but there is like some coachy kind of stuff on there. Some of my writings up on there, linking to some of my writing. So you can just kind of get to know me. And if you want more like specific to work, human designer gene keys, then just reach out to me through there. I'm very happy to kind of work with people in this world. Yeah.
Yes, Emily is a great coach when it comes to that, as well as this great writer who tell us about your next project and where we can find, you have this memoir that you're working on.
I'm working on it now. I'm now ordering things because I said it's not like a typical, here's just my story. So I'm like, but yeah, my goal is that it will come out, hopefully next year. Yeah.
Ooh, that's great.
Yeah.
And
Exciting.
do you have some place like for people to follow your writing if they're interested?
Right now, everything is on my Instagram, and maybe it's
Okay.
not the best way to do it, but
Nope.
everything's
Nope.
kind of
Perfect.
smushed together. And that is actually one thing that I think is actually good. People, I think, like overthink, like everything needs to be perfect before it happens. And I definitely fell into that bucket. And now, I'm kind of saying it's not perfect. Everything's together. You can find me here. The world is still spinning. So it's okay.
Exactly.
It's okay to not be perfect when you get going.
Exactly. Well, is there anything that we didn't get to that you wanted to share?
The only other thing that I would say that I think is important is I do have a fixed belief that, greatness, whatever that means, is available to everyone.
Hmm.
You can live that large, full, satisfying version of yourself that is available to everyone. Through coaching, what I've noticed, and even with me, is that we're kind of told, first of all, what greatness means. And we're
Hmm.
also told how to get there. And I think this is very unique to everyone, which is also why human design and gene keys is great because it's just you. I think we get stuck on like, it's not working. And then we start shrinking the goal. We start moving
Mm.
that
Yes.
goal point, like that set point back, and we start shrinking. And everyone does it. I've done it. We all do it. I think if it's not working, it might not be the goal that's the problem. It might
Mm.
be the strategies you're using to get there. They might not align with you. They might not feel good to you. And a lot of that, as I said in the beginning, is going to go back to who you believe you are and who you're being as you're trying to like reach this goal. But I would just offer that greatness is available and that big, huge goal is available. And maybe it's just the way that you're going about it doesn't work for you.
Right.
So don't give up on the goal so fast.
I love that. Greatness is available to everyone. Well, Emily, we end each episode with this very important question. How do you take your coffee?
I love a good mug of tea.
Okay, what's your tea order?
I would do chamomile first. Like I love sitting in a nice comfy chair with chamomile and someone where we're going to have like a great, really deep conversation. That to me is like all the vibes. It's great.
Oh,
Sometimes I go a little crazy and go peppermint.
okay.
But chamomile and a big comfy chair. I'm seeing a fireplace and
I
like
love it.
this wonderful conversation is joy for me.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for being here, and we'll look forward to seeing your next greatness revealed.
Thank you.
Finally, here is a moment to focus inward with a couple deep breaths taken together. Let's take a breath in of loving kindness. As you breathe in, can you send good thoughts to yourself, to your family? And how about someone difficult in your life? Can you send them love too? And exhale. Take in another breath, a slow, deep breath of loving kindness. And exhale. Finally, one more deep breath in and release the breath for an exhale. May you have a day filled with loving kindness. Be well. Thank you for listening to Jennifer with Coffee. Follow us on Instagram at Jennifer with Coffee and on Substack. This has been a Kings of Content production. Music by Oreo CC.